Hello, this is George Sherritt. I'm going to do a review for you here of the inspection I did. This is the front of the house. There was some area of the soffit that had come loose here. You can see this is open. Oh, it's open here, so bats and birds and things like that can get up in there. So I'd recommend those areas be sealed. This hose bib at the right front of the garage door was frozen and it wouldn't turn. So it may have damage. It may thaw out and be fine, but it may also crack in the course of being frozen. So have a plumber correct that. This was another area where the soffit was open slightly, just to the left of where the other area was. There's some damage along the siding by one window here. It may have just slid out of place. Sometimes this stuff can move around. So, but at any rate, the way it is now, water could potentially get in there. So I'd recommend that be corrected. That's where it is. This is on the left wall of the house as you're looking out from the street towards the house. This hose bib also had no water. It was able to be opened. But I got it all the way open and still nothing came out. So it could have a remote shut off that I did not find, or it could be frozen. This pad apparently was for a hot tub at some point, and there's quite a steep drop off all the way around here. So I'd recommend some sort of guardrail be installed here, even if you do have a hot tub, just so somebody doesn't go tipping off of there. I wasn't able to inspect the decks for you. They were covered with snow. Same thing with the roof. 99% of the roof I was not able to see. The small part I was able to see. It's a 20-year roof. It's probably 25 years old. So it's, at or beyond the end of its serviceable life. What I could see right here is very, very worn. Someone's probably pressure washed this and removed a lot of the aggregate. There's a lot of exposed fiberglass where there should be, granules of aggregate. So probably is going to need a new roof. Since I can't see it really, I'm going to suggest that, once it thaws, the licensed roofer go up there and evaluate the roof. But I'm expecting it to be time for a new roof based on what I saw. That's another little area of the soffit that's come loose. This is underneath of the big steep wall on the upper part of the house. I just reached down there and put my camera under there to see if it was sealed, and it's come open, so that should be sealed. Kind of underneath here. So you can see, mostly I was not able to see the vast majority of the roof. The front deck stairs are in contact with the ground. Anytime you stick wood in the ground, it's going to shorten its life, so I'd recommend that be corrected where possible. Putting little concrete blocks underneath here would be a good idea. This post is also in the ground. Now it is in a metal bracket, and I think it just has dirt that's been pushed up against it, so you could probably take a shovel or a broom and just sweep the dirt away from the wood so you don't have that earth to wood contact. The garage had a bunch of debris in it, so I couldn't see all the walls. I just document that when I can. This is in the little kitchenette kind of basement thing. The outlet underneath the stove hood, there is no stove, but there's a stove hood there, is ungrounded. So have a licensed electrician fix that. I think the homeowner probably did a lot of the wiring in the basement and that small electrical panel down there because it's all done wrong. So there's a bit of electrical work to be done down there to correct things and make things safe. So that's ungrounded. This is called a false ground. You can't see it very well, but there's a little F right there above the G, so that tells me there's a false ground. So this outlet is also not wired correctly. This is on the opposite side of that little kitchenette, back in the corner next to the sink. It should also be GFCI protected since we're near water. This outlet, which is near the water, should also be GFCI protected, and it's not. This outlet is ungrounded and should also be GFCI protected because it's next to the sink. So have a licensed electrician fix all three of those. On the hot water heater, this is called plumber's tape. So plumber's tape and little sheetrock screws don't really constitute a stick strap. I would recommend a real strap kit be installed on the hot water heater. This is a very important safety valve. It comes with instructions about how it's to be installed. One of the important things is the pipe has to be able to drain freely with gravity, so it can't go uphill like it does here. So this is incorrect and it's a safety issue, so I'd recommend a licensed plumber fix that. There's our plumber's tape strapping. It's 55 gallons electric. There's an electrical box towards the back of the unit that needs a cover so that some little person can't stick their finger in there. Little boys tend to like to do that. Because it's on city water, there's likely a check valve, or what's called a one-way valve, in the supply line. And if that's the case, you need to have what's called an expansion tank on top of your hot water tank. It's kind of a blue, usually blue or green tank that has a rubber bladder in it that's partly air and partly water, because when you heat water it expands, and if you've got that check valve or that one-way valve, the water doesn't have anywhere to go. So I'd recommend an expansion tank being installed. It also helps remove what's called water hammer. If you've ever been in an older house and you turn the hot water off suddenly and you can hear the pipes kind of shudder inside the wall, that's water hammer. So it absorbs that. There's a masticating pump toilet assembly in the basement, and it must be leaking because it smells like sewage down there, and they generally don't. So something about it is not right. I'm not that familiar with them, but I know they're not supposed to have that sort of odor all the time. So have a licensed plumber fix that. This is an electrical panel inside the garage. You can tell it's pretty messy. An licensed electrician didn't do this. It's also not done correctly. This is a sub panel. It's what's called a 4-wire feed. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 wires. The ground wires, which is the bare copper wires, should be attached to the metal can separately from the white wires, which are called neutrals, and they should float, as they're called. So you can see this metal bar here. This is the neutral bus bar. It's electrically separated from the metal can because it's held up by plastic, except when you add a bonding strap and a screw like this. So this is something you would do on a main panel, but not on a sub panel. So this is all incorrect and all unsafe. So have a licensed electrician take care of all that. This is a classic example of somebody who does wiring and doesn't know what they're doing, and it all works, right? So the lights come on, and whatever it is they have hooked up here, it all functions. So they think they've done it right, but it's really not done correctly, and it's not very safe. But the good news is it's an easy thing for an electrician to fix, and it shouldn't be too expensive. Some of the insulation in one of the side attics, there's no real above attic, there's just kind of sidewall attics, but some of the insulation's been moved and disturbed, so they have storage and things. So that'll create some cold spots. It would be better to reinstall the insulation where needed. There's minor damage to the floor coverings in a few places. This is in front of one of the sliding glass doors. You can see the tiles cracked. It's just a cosmetic issue. So this is the only real heat source in the house, other than a small cadet style heater in the master bathroom. This is in the basement. They've installed a couple bath type fans in the ceiling down there, and then run the exhaust pipe from that into a floor grate that's open to both the ceiling of the basement and the floor of the next floor up, to try to sort of force air from the warm basement upstairs. I have no way to tell you, how adequately that's going to heat that house on a cold day. It's pretty unusual what they've done there. So, and the appraiser may have something to say about it as well. Wouldn't be a bad house to put a ductless heat pump in upstairs. That might be a good option. I saw a carbon monoxide alarm down there in the basement on the first floor. State law requires one per floor provided by the seller, so make sure that gets done before your appraisal gets done, because if the appraiser goes out there and they're not present, they charge $100 to $150 to go back and say, yep, now they're here. That'll be $150, please. So you want to make sure that those get installed before you have your appraisal done. That outlet I had just tripped using the GFCI test button, and it tripped, and I went and reset it, and it's fine. That's fine. That's just the kitchen, bathroom. That was all good. This is the main electrical panel. It's at the base of the stairs in the basement. Everything about it was okay. Here's an example of one of those vents. So this is just a hole in the floor, basically, that you can see up into the next floor. And then they've used this bathroom fan and run the duct from it over to about here to try to draw air up through here and then blow it up into the next room. The seal on this sliding glass door is blown, so you can see there's moisture between the layers of glass here. It's mostly cosmetic. You do lose some of the insulative value. There's not a ton there to begin with, but it wouldn't be a hard thing for a contractor to replace just the glass unit. They don't have to take the whole door. They just replace the unit. The front door rubs on the frame. That should be adjusted. You've got a little on-demand hot water maker under the kitchen sink, so you'll never run out of hot water there. It was relatively new. The manual's laying here. The stove came with an anti-tipping device, it's called. This is a little schematic of a child putting weight on the door, and you can see the stove is tipping, and if there was a pot of hot water, soup or something, it could come and scald the child. So it's a little bracket that screws to the floor. This is what it looks like. So you can go to Home Depot and buy those, or Lowe's. So I'd recommend one of those be installed. I often don't see them when there's a tile floor, because you have to have a special masonry bit that costs, $4. So people don't do it. But it's a really nice piece of safety equipment I would recommend. There's the kitchen sink area. I took this to remind me that there were only carbon monoxide alarms on that first floor and not on the main floors. There's wood rot in the trim and also in the wood door frame of the front door, so have a licensed contractor fix that. Probably going to need to put a new door frame and door in that front door. Again, that porch and the decks and things I wasn't able to see on the top side because they were covered with snow. And then we're back out front. So if you have any questions, feel free to call me. I've sent you a report, and I'll send this off soon. It'll be on YouTube. It takes about an hour for them to load it up, so you may try to watch it and it'll tell you it's not ready yet. So just give it a little while and come back and try it again later. All right, thanks for your business.